Hey guys, it's Ryan Fowler with Inner Masculine Live. We're broadcasting a little later today. I took a lot of time to put this guy together, did some extra research. So I came across a few days ago an Andrew Huberman clip that was very illuminating. Andrew Huberman, he has a YouTube channel. He's pretty popular. He is a Stanford neuroscientist professor, among other things. Very smart guy. I think he has integrity. I think he's honest, brilliant, has a lot of good information. But when I saw this clip a few days ago, he admitted that he was talking about psychedelics, and he admitted that if he had the conversation now on YouTube only 3-5 years ago, he would have been fired from Stanford. Now it's acceptable. Why would he have been fired? In fact, he mentions in this clip, and I'm going to play part of this clip, he mentions that there were Harvard professors who indeed were fired from Harvard. I think they were even tenured professors, fired from Harvard merely for having conversations about psychedelics. So we're going to dive into why are psychedelics, which have been around since 1957, were extensively studied in the 60s and I think maybe early 70s until they were outlawed worldwide, more or less, made illegal worldwide, even though they're more or less physiologically safe. Why were they banned? Why were they outlawed? Why were Harvard professors fired just for talking about them, mentioning them, when there was a lot of, prior to them being outlawed, a lot of promising research that came out? What was the system that replaced it? Well, we're going to go into how the system that replaced it, a lot of studies have come out that it pretty much sucks. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't have any benefit, because it does have some benefits, but the benefits are kind of marginal, especially compared to these alternative therapies that are proving to be massively more effective. I'm talking about EMDR, I'm talking hypnosis, I'm talking psychedelics, proving to be massively more effective than these other, psychiatric drugs. So we're going to go over some of the studies, what Dr. Huberman says. We're going to look at the trailer for How to Change Your Mind on Netflix, which is a must watch. And we're going to talk a little bit about, hypnosis and EMDR, these alternative therapies too, and why they've either been outlawed. I mean, EMDR has been not been outlawed, and I think is respected, but honestly, it's most practitioners do not do it that well, although I think it is very promising. But why isn't it mainstream? Why aren't these things more mainstream? Psychedelics, why is it just now becoming mainstream when they've known about this since 1957? So we're going to play some clips. You'll have to bear with me just a little bit because there's a lot of clips to show here. I literally have on my screen 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, I think 10 to play, either clips or news articles, 2 YouTube clips, 8 news articles. And before we get started with that, you guys may have noticed on my tag at the bottom, RyanInnermasculine.com free ebook. And I haven't been telling you guys about that, but let's talk about that now, because yes, you can. And it looks like for whatever reason, okay, here we go. I'm going to bring this up. Yes, you can sign up for a free ebook. It's coming 2 to 4 weeks from now. And so go to innermasculine.com/free ebook. And here's a table of contents. Here, you put in your email. Here's the table of contents. Here's what we're covering. You get this for free. Our brain pursues the familiar, avoids the unfamiliar. What's that about? The stronger brain modifier, pursuing pleasure. The strongest, our brain motivates us to avoid pain, including emotional pain. Using pleasure to cover pain. That's where a lot of addiction comes in, by the way. How our subconscious programs develop, how our subconscious affects behavior versus how our conscious mind affects it. We're going to talk about each. And honestly, you should use conscious methods as well as subconscious. That's what I do for my clients. So we'll talk about that. What is a subconscious program? Everyone's heard the term subconscious, and it's like, okay, what is it? And it's like, I've never heard an explanation except the explanations I give. Well, I'll give you an explanation. So now you're going to know exactly what it is, how it works, how's it's affecting you, because it is mainstream science that 95% of our behavior is controlled by our subconscious mind. Might be a little important to actually know what that is. That's running 95% of your behavior. How do these subconscious programs affect us as adults? The 5 core traumas, what are they, and how do they affect you? Toxic shame, I'm not good enough, not belonging or fitting in. You cannot get what you have or keep what you want. Unresolved anger, resentment, trapped anger, bitterness, rage, you don't feel safe. Not everyone has these 5. 90% approximately have at least one. Toxic shame, 90% just have toxic shame, at least mildly. We're going to talk about that, explain what that is, because chances are you have at least one. Maybe you have all 5 of these. Maybe you have 2 of them. You want to know that. How 4 of these traumas trigger anxiety, resistance, dread. Anger doesn't trigger it, but all the other 4 do. What are the 3 motivational archetypes? Now, you're going to fit probably predominantly into one of these archetypes. You might have a little bit of 2 or all 3, but it's predominantly one. And once you understand which archetype you're in, you're going to understand why you struggle, why maybe you're very successful and you're miserable. You're going to understand why that is. We're going to talk about the first 2 archetypes are, they have problems. Of staying safe by staying small, avoiding pain, very problematic. It's going to lead to a mediocre life, not taking risks, so you never get ahead. Pursuing success to avoid existing pain. In extreme cases, that's Kurt Cobain. That's Marilyn Monroe. That's Robin Williams. There's so many successful people. They maybe don't go to that extreme, but they get successful, and then they're empty. Then they're miserable. Number 3. Pursuing pleasure, realize your dreams. That's the best one to be in. That's where we want to be. That's where we want to get your subconscious. This is all subconscious here. And this is what I work with day to day to get people to get rid of A and B, get rid of the 5 traumas, get to C, pursue pleasure, and realize your dreams, realize your power. 12, why do you procrastinate? What's that about? What are limiting beliefs about? What is self-sabotage about? I'm going to describe that all. Just so you go to this page. Let's see here. You have to bear with me because there's a lot of. Here we go. Nope. Oh, darn it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. This guy right here. Go to this page, intermasculine.com/free-ebook, and sign up. Put in your email, you get the guide when it's ready in about 2 to 4 weeks, and it's absolutely free, and it's going to explain a bunch of stuff. You're going to know more than some professionals know, at least when it comes to the basics, the fundamentals, the really important stuff, so you know why, what's going on with you, why are you stuck, etc. So that's that. Now on to the rest of our show. I'm going to start out with showing you guys a YouTube clip of this Dr. Huberman, Stanford neuroscience professor, and he makes a pretty startling admission here. So let's bring this up, and then we're going to go down this rabbit hole that is in my opinion, our very corrupt, messed up, politicized, corporatized mental health field that has been suppressing more effective methodologies and replacing them with less effective methodologies that are finally going the way of the wind because there's so many studies out that they're just not that great. And I'm going to show you these studies. And so let's dive into this. Now, this clip, after this show, I'm going to put in the description all of these links. This guy, I think he's a good guy. I have no beef with him whatsoever. I love his videos. I think you should subscribe to his YouTube channel. Stanford scientist, he's going to make a shocking admission here about certain things he just can't talk about until recently. Only now because it's approved, because it got FDA approved, because they know that people are giving up on the old crap because they know it's just so marginally effective. Here we go.
DMA. I was just shocked, positively shocked, because 3 years ago, 5 years ago, certainly 10 years ago, a conversation like this would have been the conversation that would have ended my career, at least as a university professor. My understanding is that thanks to the incredible work of the group with MAPS.
So just talking about this, his career is over. In fact, Watch the rest of this video. He later on mentions there were Harvard professors who were fired that put people in the universities in a state of fear. So they just didn't even talk about this research that was very promising up till that time. This is corruption 101. I mean, screw the powers that be. To hell with these guys. They have caused so much suffering by suppressing superior treatments and putting in their own corporate business model. Let's keep you on antidepressants the rest of your life. Now, I'm not giving medical advice. I'm only giving my opinion here. Talk to your doctor about whether any of that's right for you. But my opinion, having been through this system with my severe depression, mild manias, bipolar type 2, manic depression, I've been through this system. I've been on over a dozen antidepressants, anti-anxieties. I know the side effects. I know how effective they are. I've been through over 100 cognitive behavioral therapy, traditional talk therapy sessions, which, yes, are helpful. Yes, I do think they have their place. However, it's slow. And as a tool by itself, it's not a complete treatment. It's honestly, it's wholly incomplete. It's maybe, I don't know, a fifth of what you need, a third of what you need. You know, it's helpful, but we're going to go into that later. That's what they did. They suppress this, and this guy's admitting to the suppression right here. He's admitting people would lose their jobs just talking about psychedelics. Watch the whole clip. It's a great clip. He's changed his mind. He's going to talk. If you watch this clip, I'll put it in the after the show. I'll put it in the description, this link. He talks about now he's a huge fan of psychedelics because and he'll tell you why, but you can watch that clip. And so let's go on to the next one. I want to play for you another YouTube clip. We're going to play the whole trailer. If you have Netflix, you got to watch this. You got to watch this show. It is called How to Change Your Mind. It's on Netflix. And let's go ahead and play this trailer. And it's going to kind of hint at more of the corruption here. But if you watch this Netflix show, How to Change Your Mind, they go deeply into it. I mean, we're going to dive more into it. I have articles showing this. I just think it's straight up corruption. I think these people are evil. I think it's corporate business interests, and they're evil. But let's keep going. This is a great trailer for a must-watch Netflix show. Here we go.
We've all heard really scary things about psychedelics. They scrambled your chromosomes. They caused you to hop off of buildings. It was all terrifying. So I took a look at the true effects of these substances. I was very surprised at what I found. Mescaline, psilocybin, MDMA, LSD.
For a lot of people, this was the bad and evil drugs, but the opposite is true. There are really
bad and evil drugs. That's the propaganda that's propagated through our society. In fact, these drugs are almost universally safe. I'm not going to say all of them completely safe. You can have bad trips, but very, very, very low risk. If no risk. Some of these drugs have no risk at all. Like you won't die from smoking weed. You won't die from a lot of these either. They're just as safe as that. This is a propaganda. This is bad. This is terrible. When, in fact, the data shows, and they've had this data since the 1950s and 60s, that the opposite is true.
really people who could benefit.
Can't wait to see what's going to happen.
What if mental health problems like OCD, PTSD, alcoholism, and depression could all be helped?
I'm a fairly conservative, sober scientist, but I've seen it work.
And this medicine here starts to help heal.
Some of my friends said, don't do it.
Psychedelic therapy has the potential to revolutionize mental health care.
They broaden the lens and you realize, oh my goodness, there's all of this. I didn't know.
It's like a light bulb has gone off.
My story is the same story as millions of veterans. Where my story becomes unique is I took MDMA 3 times.
Took MDMA 3 times, changed his life. How many years of therapy, and it wouldn't do half of that.
It saved my life.
It really did short circuit this suicidal period that I was
And they outlawed this, the pigs.
in.
It's not like magic bullet that everything's perfect.
But just think how much human suffering could be relieved
This is the tool for understanding the mind.
María Sabina fue una mujer que ahora sí le abrió puerta a todo el mundo.
This tension continues to grow.
If the drug war ends, what's the peace look like?
We're all striving to have good health and happiness.
This medicine helped me stand on my own 2 feet.
True science probes the very frontiers of human knowledge. And that's where psychedelic research is right now.
Unless it's suppressed. I'm going to give you more evidence of the suppression. It's coming. And I'll show you why they're not suppressing it anymore. They kind of have no choice. We'll keep going. All right, very good, guys. So let me show you this article. Now, when it comes to trauma, I'm actually going to give a presentation within this next week more about trauma. There is an excellent book called Your Body Keeps the Score. It's The Score. It's been written by a neuroscientist. It's been on the New York Times bestseller list since 2015. It's like the #1 seller in psychology. It sold millions and millions of copies. We're going to, there's a video by the author of that book talking about trauma. So we're going to go into that later this week, exactly what emotional trauma is, how it messes you up. But here's the thing. Psychedelics are good at dissolving trauma. You have that war veteran, took MDMA 3 times, dissolved his internal emotional trauma. It saved his life, as he put it. Now, hypnosis is not only tool I use. If you saw that ebook I was talking about, I talk about the conscious and subconscious. You want to use tools for each, honestly. But how does hypnosis compare to psychedelics? Well, psychedelics help dissolve trauma. Stuck, painful, emotional trauma in you can be dissolved to some degree with psychedelics. It works better for some people than others. But if you watch that Netflix show, How to Change Your Mind, which I recommend everyone to watch, they did a study back in, I think, the 50s or 60s, where they studied people who took LSD and 30% said it changed their lives, like for the better, like drastically changed their lives, got rid of all sorts of anxiety. And I think it was 70-80% still found it beneficial. Now, it is another tool in the toolbox. And again, I don't administer psychedelics to anyone. I'm not a licensed professional. I'm only giving my opinion here. This is not medical advice. You saw my disclaimer at the beginning. But I still have a First Amendment right to call bullshit when I see it, to point out propaganda, to point out unnecessary control and corruption when I see it. So hypnosis, in my opinion, allows you to do surgical, targeted, target-specific traumas and get them out surgically. If you use the right techniques. Some people do types of hypnosis that have nothing to do with what I do. There's stage hypnosis, which has very little to do with, the type of hypnosis I do, which resolves trauma, gets people's core beliefs great. So they love themselves, believe in their ability and value, remove limiting beliefs, all that. That's what I do. So it's a lot more targeted. It's a lot more surgical than simply taking these psychedelics. There is a psychedelic that is now legal in most countries and in the US. Prior to a few years ago, this stuff was banned worldwide. The UN banned it worldwide. Why? They had all these promising studies coming out in the 50s and 60s. There were mainstream scientists studying this and finding out this was great. And then the UN came out with some report recommending it be banned, and it was made illegal in almost every country in the world. They're now legalizing ketamine, which is a synthetic type of psychedelic. Of course, it's synthetic. They're not going to let you legalize, the natural stuff. No, the stuff that just grows out of the ground that you can just grow yourself. Nope, it has to be manufactured so that they can sell it to you, of course. But ketamine is now legal. I've had clients who have used it, who found it helpful. I don't see it as a complete treatment for these clients, but in my humble opinion, only give my opinion, not medical advice, but it has helped them. And MDMA, they're trying to get that legalized now. And that seems, from what I can tell, seems to be extremely promising. And the research shows that it is also safe. And so hopefully they get that legalized. But let's dive a little bit more down the rabbit hole here. And let's look at how this has been suppressed. Not just made illegal, but suppressed in the scientific community, in addition to people getting fired just for talking about it. So here we go. Here's a Wikipedia, and I've highlighted this. This is a Wikipedia entry for psychedelic drugs. Many psychedelic drugs are illegal worldwide under the UN conventions. That's where it started, and all the countries decided to hop on board and outlaw psychedelics, with occasional exceptions for religious or research contexts. Despite these controls, recreational use of psychedelics is common. But look at this. Legal barriers have made the scientific study of psychedelics more difficult. They literally passed laws to say, scientists, you cannot study this very promising technology. And they already did many studies in the 60s, in the late 50s, about how very promising studies. So there's already a lot of data out there that, hey, this really helps people. Boom, made illegal. You can't even research it anymore. How messed up is that? And now they're legalizing it. Now, after almost 70 years, they're legalizing it. Just straight up bullshit. So research has been conducted, however, and studies show that psychedelics are physiologically safe and rarely lead to addiction. Yeah, what about our opiate epidemic? Was that safe? Did that cause addiction? But they pushed that really hard, didn't they? But then they actually safe, helpful stuff, they outlaw. What the hell? All right, let's keep moving. Honestly, like, I'm actually not that mad right now. But when I see stuff, when I first saw that Andrew Huberman clip, I mean, I put kind of a scathing comment in the section. If you go to that YouTube video, probably scroll down and see my comment. I saw that and I was legitimately pissed because I've been through this system. I know what it's like to suffer. I know about all the side effects. I know how slow this stuff works and how marginally effective it is. I'm going to go into the studies later. And I've been through the system. I know what the pain is like. I know how people suffer. And I have clients coming to me. Millions and millions and millions of people suffering could have been abated if the government would have just stayed the hell out of this. And if the politics and the corporate control and the corruption just wasn't there, there'd be millions of people alive today who aren't alive now. And there'd be just untold, reduced, mitigated suffering. So we'll keep going. Let's see here. Okay, let's go to this other one. Let's look at what some of the studies actually say now. We got a few of these to go through, so just bear with me. Okay, here's the first one up. Now, this is actually a scientific article. And look at what they say. I'll scroll up. You'll see everything there. This is I believe this is peer-reviewed article. It's on nature.com, major website. Now this is talking about SSRIs. It's talking about selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. That's what the SSRI stands for. It is the main type of antidepressant medication that's been prescribed since I think the 80s or 90s. It's been what's been pushed on everyone. It started with Prozac, and there's just dozens of these. I think it was the early 90s. We'll see. Dozens of these medications came out since then. So they say here, and the theory, which has no scientific basis whatsoever, it was a hypothesis. Do the research. It was a hypothesis that led to this Prozac and all this other antidepressant medication, that these medications are going to allow your brain to soak in serotonin more. Instead of it going back up and being absorbed, it would soak in it more and give you more exposure to serotonin, which would make you less depressed. That's the theory. These are the main antidepressants prescribed, for 30 plus years. Our comprehensive review of the major strands of research on serotonin shows there's no convincing evidence that depression is associated with or caused by lower serotonin concentrations or activity. Most studies have found no evidence of reduced serotonin activity in people with depression compared to people without, and methods to reduce this depletion do not consistently lower mood in volunteers. And this is like a meta study. This is where they survey just a ton. See, look, this is in depth here. This is scientific article. Look, they're already at footnote number 45, number 48 down here. It's probably 100 footnotes in this article or close to it. All these studies, they got tables, they got graphs. This is a hardcore meta study compiling all the studies on the serotonin theory of depression, the main theory that's been mainstream science since 90s, late 80s, whatever it was. They call bullshit. They say, hey, you know what? We looked at all the studies. It's bullshit. Why has this shit been prescribed for the last 30 years by these so-called professionals? What the hell? Again, just my personal advice, just my personal opinion, not medical advice, but it makes you think. Let's go on to the next one. I got a few more of these. You guys are going to be convinced by the end here. You're probably already convinced, but let's keep going. Okay, no, this is usnews.com. This isn't some side paper alternative. This is mainstream. In the long run, antidepressants don't improve quality of life. They take it to combat low moods. By and large, doesn't help. Well, big shock considering that study that we just watched. Let's keep going. I'll show you another one. The headline's enough for that one. You can just do a simple Google search. You will see dozens and dozens and dozens of articles. Here's another one. Little evidence that chemical imbalance causes depression. UCL scientists find. Major university. Called into question. This is why psychedelics are now becoming legal, because they know the gig is up. The research has been published. I mean, it's more than one major study. It's a few really major studies and several smaller ones calling bullshit, saying this is marginally effective. One of these articles, I'm not sure if it's this one. I'm going to put everything in the description. It's not there now. I'll put it after the show. They actually found out that the studies were flawed, and the study showed that antidepressants were 20 to 30% more effective than placebo, and finds out that that was kind of bullshit. Yeah. So it talks about the side effects. I've been through these side effects. Sexual dysfunction, weight gain. There's people who've gone homicidal. It's in the little inserts, in the medication inserts. Small portion of people can become very dangerous to themselves or others physically. It's a small portion, but it's definitely there, and it's in the inserts. There's a lot of evidence about that. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's mainstream science, what I just told you. Let's keep going. You got a whole slew here. Yeah, this is a good one here. Most people on antidepressants don't even need them. They're overprescribed. Again, this is not some side article. This is theeconomist.com. 35 years ago almost. Let's see. This is a 2022 article. So about almost 35 years ago. Approved Prozac, supposed to be big, blockbuster, blah, blah, blah. That's an SSRI. Growing numbers of studies show they are less effective than thought. Oh, these original studies turn out to be flawed and bullshit. That's what I was talking about. They publish the results of clinical trials selectively, withholding those in which the drugs turn out not to work well. That's right. They cherry pick, and that's how they get FDA approval. And that's legal. They need to submit 2 trials. They can do 100 trials, find 2 that show evidence it works, submit that, and then get approved. That's the racket. Okay. We got a couple to go. We're going to look at how they look at hypnotherapy. Now, hypnotherapy is not outlawed, unlike psychedelics. I mean, it's a First Amendment thing. How can you keep one person from talking to another? Because that's all it is. One person talking to another. How can you outlaw that? But you guys have all seen hypnosis being described as crazy or weird or mind control. Maybe that's because of stage hypnosis and some misconstrued beliefs formed from that. Maybe it's Hollywood. But a lot of people, oh, isn't that weird? Isn't that crazy? I think hypnosis is bullcrap, whatever. Let's look at the hypnosis articles. And yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Let me get the comments as well. Let's see what we got here. P-Dubs. Thank you, sir. And Mike has been watching my show, so thanks for watching it. Tim Costello, good friend of mine. P-Dubs, salute back to you, sir. And let's keep going here. I have a couple articles on hypnosis, and this is just to kind of show how the mainstream community looks at hypnosis. Now, the proof that hypnosis works, and again, hypnosis is a very broad subject. Hypnosis is like a canvas. You can paint whatever you want on that canvas. It's a type of canvas. Hypnosis puts you in a state. That's all it does. Once you're in that state, there are dozens and dozens of different techniques for different things to accomplish different things. So if someone's like, hypnosis doesn't work, it's like, are you really applying that as a blanket statement to all these dozens of techniques, some which are quite different from one another? Anyone who says that, number one, ignorant as hell, and number two, doesn't even understand what hypnosis is. So to explain it to you guys, hypnosis is just a meditative state. Meditation, hypnosis, you're in the same state. When you wake up in the morning, you're awake, but not fully awake. You're groggy. You're in a state of hypnosis. When you're about to fall asleep at night, you're awake, but you're falling asleep. You're very relaxed. That's hypnosis. We just get you very relaxed to put you into this state where your cognitive mind, your logical, analytical brain is calmed down, set aside, so that we can work on your intuition, your instinct, your emotion. That's your subconscious. Your subconscious is the seat of your intuition, instinct, emotion. It is giving you different intuition, instinct, emotion based on it observing the outside world, interpreting what everything means according to subconscious programs in it, and then giving you the intuition. And the instinct, that's more just hardwired, but the intuition, emotions, that's your subconscious telling you, this is how I interpret things. You may not remember why. In fact, most people don't know why they feel a certain way in certain situations. They're kind of mystified. Why am I so anxious? Why do I procrastinate this? Why is it so hard to do this? Why am I stuck here? All those things, they don't know why. We go back here into their childhood. I explain things. We not only figure it out, but then we clear stuff out of them and they're immediately unstuck. And the proof, if you want proof that hypnosis works, just look at all the client interviews I've done. I've done a lot. I'm not just my main video section, but on my live shows, I don't know, it's probably half my shows. I'm interviewing people where they're like, holy crap, this changed my life. Look at my live shows. Anytime there's someone with me, they pretty much give a testimonial if they're with me. It's almost all of the people on my show so far have been clients and are giving their testimonials. So you just look at that. And I have more. There's more coming. Science does know that hypnosis is effective. However, they kind of try and downplay it and kind of crap on it a little. And here, I'll give you an example here. There's WebMD. Oh, what are the drawbacks? And they, I really don't like how they put this. They say, additionally, hypnosis can pose a risk of creating false memories. And for these reasons, it's no longer considered a common or mainstream part of most forms of psychotherapy. The funny thing is it was never, number one, never considered mainstream. Number two, I have never had anyone with false memories arising from sessions I've done. And I don't know anyone who's done hypnosis, self-hypnosis, done it for themselves or others, or had it done on them. I don't know anyone who's had these false memories implanted. I just see the results. People have less anxiety. People are happier. People believe in themselves now. People get unstuck. People can start kicking ass in life. Start moving forward. They love themselves. They believe in themselves. They're doing what they want to do. They're not held back or limited anymore. So I look at this as misinformation. They kind of make it sound like, oh, we tried it and it's just crap. You know, it's not that great because of the drawbacks. And they admit that it's safe. It's not dangerous. Here's scrolling up here. Suggestion therapy and analysis. Okay, this is like kind of the least, suggestion therapy and analysis are helpful in hypnosis. They're not the most helpful methodology. They don't even mention the most helpful methodology, which is actually getting bad subconscious programs out, putting new ones in. And I kind of laughed at this. Analysis. This approach uses the relaxed state of hypnosis to explore a possible psychological root cause of a disorder or symptom, such as traumatic past events that a person has hidden in their unconscious memory. Once the trauma is revealed, it can be addressed in psychotherapy. And so it's like, oh, so you have this vastly superior methodology to actually address the trauma, clear it out, maybe in 1 or 2 sessions, maybe 3 tops, whatever. I mean, it depends, 5% of people, in my experience, hypnosis has little to no effect on them. Over time, it might affect some of them if, they practice it. So I'm not going to say hypnosis is a cure-all, but for most people, why the hell are you going to psychotherapy to resolve this trauma? It's a less effective methodology. Later this week, we're going to show that YouTube clip. This neuroscientist, the body keeps the score. Trauma, best-selling book. Trauma is stored in your body. We have nerves and neurons on our heart. That's neuroscience. You can Google our second brain and find out, wow, we have a massive nerves and neurons in our gut that process data and give us intuition. And we actually have just as many neurons processing data and giving us emotions, giving us anxiety. I mean, when you feel butterflies in your stomach, guess what? That's because where the neurons are processing that and giving that to you. If you have a heavy heart, guess what? Scientists have found, surgeons have found neurons on your heart. You feel a heavy heart, that's where it is. But you have these cognitive behavioral therapists working up here, working on the wrong part, not where the trauma is. And they say that's the number 1 technique. Let's see if, okay. One of my articles, I might have closed it already, actually describes, hopefully I can find it here. Nope, I still have it. Okay, I'm going to show this to you next. This next article, it's a proposed clinical study. And so the whole point I was coming to here, once they find the trauma, they actually go to a far less effective technique, in my opinion, maybe 1/30th as effective, like literally takes 30 times longer, 20 times, 50. It depends. Sometimes it doesn't even work where hypnosis will. Sometimes no amount of cognitive behavioral treatment will resolve something hypnosis will. Again, hypnosis, not 100%. It's like 95, but it's powerful. It's my number 1 tool, by far, my number 1 tool. I use other tools too. And they just have this whole false narrative here. They don't even show the most important benefit of hypnosis. They act like it doesn't even exist. It's and this is WebMD. This is mainstream. I mean, it's misinformation. It's bullcrap. All right, let's go on to this next article. This one is I'm just closing down unnecessary windows here. Bear with me, guys. And we got a couple more, and then we'll wrap it up of these to go through. But I think you guys get the picture here. I'm showing you the replacement methodologies. They're far less effective, and the more effective stuff has been outlawed. All right, look at this. This is a hardcore study. I don't know the results. I need to track it down and see what the results are if the study was done. Efficacy of hypnotherapy compared to cognitive behavioral therapy for mild to moderate depression. And they call cognitive behavioral therapy the gold standard right here. They only work on your cognitive mind. They try and influence your subconscious with your cognitive mind, but they don't work on your subconscious. They work on another part of your mind. Doesn't make sense to me. They say this is the gold standard. And I've had 100 sessions like that. It did help. It took forever. Why did I need 100 sessions? Doesn't make any sense to me. And they admit here, now I'm not saying CBT is all bad. I think it does absolutely have its use. It's just at a lot of things, it takes a long time. It's very inefficient. And some things it won't help you at all on. Despite a substantial number of studies providing evidence for the efficacy of psychological treatment for mild to moderate depression, maximally at most, only 50% of participants respond to treatment. And they're not even talking about severe depression. They're talking just mild to moderate. Even when using so-called gold standard treatments such as cognitive behavioral therapy. Well, if at most only 50% respond at least a little, why the hell are you calling this gold standard? It sounds like crap to me. Okay, so here's the thing. This is kind of shocking. Now, I know there have been other studies done on hypnosis. A lot of them don't follow certain standards. They're not mainstream studies. This is the first clinical trial following the good clinical practice guidelines concerning hypnotherapy for depression. So hypnosis has been known, well over 100 years, probably close to 200 years. They're only now doing a study on it for depression. Why? Well, because studies need to be funded by corporations who see no profit here. They see profit in you getting on some sort of program where you're going to do 100 sessions over 15 years, like I did, or getting you on a pill, even though they know their studies. They hid their studies. They hid the less effective studies, and they do 100 studies. They publish 2. I mean, this is blatant corruption. I showed that to you earlier. They know their pills don't work. They know they're marginally effective at best. They outlaw the effective stuff worldwide, and then they make the inefficient stuff that you're going to be on the rest of your life. I've been literally told that when I went to psychiatrists that, hey, we can only manage this. Again, it's going to work great once we figure it out and figure out what combination works for you. So hang in there with us for 2 and 3 months while we fumble about and try 8 different medications till we find one that, whose side effects are tolerable, and then you're gonna be on it the rest of your life. Wow, that's a great money model. That's a great business model for making money there. Wonder why they did that. They don't even study this. It's ridiculous. Not mainstream studies. Only now that all these other studies come out saying, you know what? Antidepressants are kind of shit. Several mainstream studies come out. Only after that, only now are they switching to these methodologies to up to this point were illegal. And by the way, ketamine, that psychedelic, it got emergency clearance to get approved because all of a sudden they had this big epiphany that, oh my goodness, this stuff actually works. Oh my goodness. Oh, we just had a shocking new breakthrough, even though we've known about it since 1957. I think ketamine was invented in 1963. So they've literally had it around almost 60 years. Only now they're finding out, oh my goodness, it actually works. And it's actually much more effective than our crap that we've been pushing on you that is marginally effective at best or doesn't work and just gives you nasty side effects. So I think we have one more to go through. And then we will call it a day. But I think I've beaten this horse to death. And this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I struggled for years with depression. I struggled for literally more than a decade, really decades, probably around close to 20 years with depression. Tried everything. I found something that works. Now, again, when people come to me, I'm not diagnosing your manic depression. I'm not diagnosing your general anxiety disorder. I'm not really even treating those. I'm not focusing on those. I'm just saying, what do you struggle with? Let's find your bad subconscious programs, which are bad beliefs, and I'm changing the beliefs. That's what I'm doing. I'm showing people how to deep down in their core believe that they unconditionally love themselves, believe in their ability and value, that they're worth it, that they deserve it. Any bad subconscious I get rid of. We teach you this self-belief, and then you just freaking take off in life. And it has a profound effect on me, on the people I've interviewed. I've had over a dozen people on my show so far, just clients. I mean, I'm showing you what's typical. Some of these are above average, and some of the stories are pretty typical of what I encounter day to day. 1 session, 2 session, 3 session, people massively changed. You know, a small percentage it doesn't work for, to be honest. But when I found that, that's why I quit my high 6-figure earning, you know, almost $200,000 a year job. It's gone. I'm doing this full time because it works and because the world needs to know about this. They can't suppress this forever. And they know that the gig is up. They're losing the battle here. We got the internet now. These studies are published on the internet where people can see it. So not only the scientists see it, but all the people are seeing it. That's why psychedelics are becoming legal. They know the gig's up with the other crap. They know it's not very good. They've been exposed. That's why they're switching now, because they have to. So here's the last one. These guys are they're corrupt as hell. I think Dr. Huberman is a great guy. I think there are many professionals in the mental health industry that are great people, but the system is corrupt. Here, Science News. Again, this is ScienceDaily.com. This is mainstream. This isn't some, you know, side Infowars.com, whatever. Some of Infowars stuff is true, but some is not, you know. Antidepressants are not associated with improved quality of life in the long run. A study finds, shocker, this crap doesn't work. At least not that much. You know, maybe for some people it works a little. Again, not medical advice. Just read it. Yeah, that's why they're legalizing psychedelics now, because they know they have to. People aren't gonna do this anymore. It's crap. All right, so that's what we have. That's our show for today. It's my job. I know what it's like to suffer. I've had the suffering, and you know what? I know what it's like to heal too. I know what it's like to change at a core level and to then take off in life, and that life can just get better and better and better as you go in, you find bad subconscious programs, you replace them, you put the best programs in. I know how good life can get. I'm living a great life now. And I'm not saying everything's perfect, but honestly, I used to have so much anxiety and depression, and it's just not there anymore. And I don't have the social anxiety. I have friends. I'm authentic. I have great connections with people. Life can get that good, and it can get even better. You know, I'm up leveling even more. And so I got to spread this to the world. That is our show for today. The new wave's coming. It's my job to spread this message so people can actually get where they need to be and stop feeling bad about themselves. Stop having self-doubt, anxiety, lack of self-belief, not feeling hopeful. Get rid of that. Let's take it to the next level, guys. So I'll see you all tomorrow at the normal time instead of this later broadcast. And just remember, you have more power than you know.